Since 1989, millions of young Germans and people from all over the world have participated in what is considered one of the biggest dance music festivals, the Love Parade Festival. It was started by the Berlin Underground and was first conceived as a political demonstration for peace and international understanding through love and music. In 2010, however, what many expected to be just another great festival accompanied by friends and music turned out to be deadly for many. The parade, starting with a group of people dancing to the rhythm of the music in the middle of the street, but soon grew in size. The organizers had to move the parade because of overcrowding. The festival moved to the Straße des 17. Juni in the Grosser Tiergarten Park in the center of Berlin. The festival became centered around the statue in the middle of the park, and the golden angel atop the column became the parade's emblem. It was annually repeated in the same city until 2003. The events in 2004 and 2005 had to be cancelled because of funding problems and a coordinating opposition of political parties, but the parade made a comeback with the support of a fitness studio. The Love Parade in the summer of 2007 was again planned for Berlin, but the event was cancelled since the Senate of Berlin did not issue the necessary permits on time. After negotiations with several German cities, it was then decided to move the Love Parade to the Ruhr area, an agglomerate of major German cities, in the next years. The first of these events took place in Essen on August 25, 2007, with 1.2 million visitors. In July 2008, it was organized in Dortmund. The 2009 event, planned for Bochum, was cancelled due to security concerns, particularly as a critical situation had occurred just a year before. The last Love Parade took place on July 24, 2010 in Duisburg. It quickly became one of the most important dance music festivals, taking place almost every year. The number of people attending the festivals grew as fast as its fame, and every year the Love Parade population was more than the year before, counting almost 2 million participants at its peak. The event drew the attention of international DJs and had some of the best artists on the techno scene as guests every year. In 2010, the organizers were expecting around 800,000 people, whereas the police were only expecting 400,000. The number of participants had just been largely underestimated, allegedly reaching 1.4 million at its peak. These were the perfect premises for a disaster. The location for the event was a former freight yard in the city center next to the main station. For the festival, they used the space in between two big roads, running from west to east. While the railway tracks functions as a border on the east, the A59 motorway had the same purpose in the area in the west. Not only the area was delimited by the motorway and the railway tracks, but it was also completely fenced to meet German safety regulations. This was in contrast with the concept of the Love Parade held in Berlin, where was prevalent the concept of an open area where participants could come and go. In the north of the area was located the central station, where many of the participants were coming from, but the police had blocked that access as they wanted the flow of people to be more controlled through the main tunnel area. The A59 was also blocked on the day of the event, as it was intended to be used as part of the emergency escape routes, access routes for the emergency services, and potentially assembly space for evacuees. This, as we can now say, didn't work properly. The area had an extension of approximately 900 meters in the north-south and 240 meters in the east-west direction. In response to concerns from the regulatory authority that the area would be too small for the expected number of 1.4 million expected visitors, the city of Duisburg combined its late approval of the event with the condition to restrict the number of concurrent visitors to 250,000. To overcome security issues seen by the regulatory authority, as there was some discussion to cancel the event overall, the organizers of the Love Parade decided to fence the whole festival area to follow the German regulations of the Organization for Mass Events. The convergence of a 240 meters long tunnel extending from the east and a series of underpasses from the west was a ramp. The festival area could only be entered via a tunnel leading to this ramp, which also served as the only exit from the area. The tunnel and the ramp together determined an inverse T-shaped geometry of an in and out flows. A side ramp in the west was assigned as an additional exit ramp, but was basically not used. The main ramp was 26 meters wide and 130 meters long. According to the studies later made on people flows, if the ramp had only served as an entrance, it would have been large enough to let all the participants in, but other factors had a big role in the flow too. The ramp not only was used as an entrance, but it was also the main exit. Studies show that the counter flows of people entering and leaving reduced the expected flow by 14%. Fences, food stands, and police cars were also in the way of limiting the flow of people, already slowed down by the consumption of alcohol and drugs made by many participants. The organization team foresaw the possibility to reduce the visitor flows through access control points, which were located in front of the tunnel entrances. Despite this, access control was given up intermittently because of the large pressure coming from incoming visitors. However, when seen from above, the festival grounds on July 24, 2010 did not seem overcrowded. So what did cause the crowd disaster that crushed people alive? The admittance to the festival grounds began at noon when it was supposed to start at 11 a.m. But at first, everything seems to go smoothly. However, when at 2 p.m. the music started playing, it was clear that the single entrance and exit were going to be a huge problem. At around 2:30 p.m., a concentration of people was already stuck on the end of the entrance ramp because of moving music trucks. The crowd control workers weren't able to do anything as the pack of people grew bigger every second. According to later records made by the parade organization, around 3 p.m. the crowd manager tried asking for help from the police as the situation was escalating quickly, but the responsible for connecting to the police had their walkie-talkie turned off, making it impossible to contact them. The police intervention was waiting to happen, and around 3:30 p.m., after a change of shifts in the police department, 5 cars drove into the ramp area. At this point, the situation had deteriorated so much that people were already ignoring the fences on the sides of the ramp, which should have prevented them from climbing the steep slopes on the sides of the tunnel, and were climbing the grassy slopes to get into the festival grounds. People were starting to panic, as the crowd seemed to be stuck on the ramp with no way in or out. The police tried limiting the flow of people on the ramp by blocking with cordons the east and west sides of the tunnel, only leaving the central one, but with poor results. To mitigate the flow, people started using a small staircase on the left of the ramp, and some even climbed on a pole on the lower end of the ramp to get in. All of this might have been interpreted by the security as signs of an excited crowd that did not behave properly, but the temporal coincidence of these events clearly shows that people were trying to escape from the crowd in any possible way because they felt in danger. At around 4:30 p.m., the situation was escalating tremendously fast. From the recordings made by participants, it can be seen that around this time, crowd turbulences start to happen. People screaming in pain and crying for help can be heard in many recordings. Innocent participants were being crushed by the unstoppable power of the crowd, and at that point, there was nothing that the police could do to help the situation. People tried everything to escape that powerful press. Some even climbed on a billboard at the end of the ramp. Disaster was waiting to happen, and it soon did. The dynamics of the incidents are still unclear to this day, and all we have are speculations and studies. At 5 p.m. the first death opens what will be a succession of incidents, resulting in the death of 21 people and the injury of more than 600. There are only hypotheses on what could have happened. Some think that the fall of one person from the billboard could have caused a panic rush and crushed many innocents. But this does not seem to be the case, as from the recordings, it is hard to see evident crowd movements. Other investigations affirm that the problem originated on the staircase, where a participant fell or got pushed falling down the steep climb. All we know is that most of the deaths happened in the area between the billboard and the staircase, so something we may or may not know must have happened there. An unidentified witness told the news that the tunnel became so crowded that people began falling. It got tighter and tighter from minute to minute, and at some point, everyone just wanted out, he said. The Love Parade disaster is the deadliest event that happened to a concert, taking the lives of 21 people. To this day, light waits to be shined on the case, and justice still has to be given to the families of the victims.